Say, do you want to learn how to play the piano but have no clue on where to start? Well,
Hi. Let's see if we can help with that. My name is Jean-Marc, also known as Pixel27. I'm a pretty amateur composer. Here's a few of my songs for reference. But anyway, today I wanted to discuss piano, or more so how to make your own music in any general term. This is just a fun little exercise that I personally absolutely love, and yeah. Side note, I am gonna go over some extremely basic stuff, but having musical knowledge already is a huge win because there's a few things that I'm not gonna go over. But yeah, anyway, first things first, we're gonna need a piano. Oh, neat, a piano. Alright, so now that we're sitting down at a piano, we can begin. Here's an image of the piano keys top down, and I'm gonna quickly explain how they're arranged. So we have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then back to C. So what I'm gonna teach you is how to construct a scale and how to construct triads, because these are the building blocks of making music. So let's actually look at that again. We have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, back to C. Granted, these are all white keys. The black keys, they're fairly easy to understand. It's either a flat or a sharp. It just depends on whether it follows a key, so it's after, or if it precedes and is before. For example, this can either be read as C sharp or D flat. Anyway, moving on to the scales. So like I said, we have all of these, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And what these are is the C major scale. So well done, you've actually learned your first scale. Let's look at the construction of this scale real quick, okay? So we have C. You'll notice that C is present twice. It's our 1 and our 8th. You can call it an 8th. And this is often referred to as the tonic or the root. Or otherwise, if you want to assign it a numeric value, it's a 1. Then we move over to the D. Now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at the amount of spaces we've moved. So from C, our tonic, we've moved 2 spaces, also known as a whole step, onto D. Next is E, and you'll notice again, we've moved 2 spaces. Now here's where it gets tricky, because F, we've moved 1 space, otherwise known as a half step. And then for G, back to our whole step, A, whole step, B, whole step, and then back to our tonic with a half step. So if we were to map it out, it would look like this. Here's it in numbers. So we'll go 1, whole step 2, whole step 3, half step 4, whole step 5, whole step 6, whole step 7, half step back to our tonic. Well done, you've learned how to construct a major scale. This structure can actually be used on any key, and as long as you follow it, you'll create the major scale. For example, let's take the key of E. So if I go E, whole step to F sharp, whole step to A flat, half step to A, whole step to B, whole step again to D flat, whole step to E flat, and then my half step back to my tonic, which is E. Well done, you have created an E major scale. Now there are different modes and different types of scales. Naming a few off my head, there's the harmonic minor scale, the Phrygian scale, Mixolydian, Lydian, all of that stuff. I'll link, here's a video that actually explains these in really good terms and actually gives you more of a thought pattern on how to construct them, but we're not going over that today. We're just going to work in major scale today. So now we have our scale, we know what keys we can use, we know how to construct the scale from any key on the keyboard. How do we then construct triads? What are triads, actually? Triads are a type of chord construction, which basically just include 3 notes, hence the term triad. And we're going to go back to C major. and I'm going to show you how to construct a C major triad, which is this. So, the way that you construct a major triad, because this applies for any major triad that you want to construct, but we're going to use C. We're going to have our 1, which is C. We're going to go to our major third, which is 2 whole steps, so E. Then we're going to go to our 5th, which is a half step, and then a whole step, which is then G. So, play it all together, you have a C major triad. But what if I want a different sound? Well, that would be the minor triad. And minor triads are actually pretty simple to construct themselves. So, remember how I said that we have a major third? Well, a minor triad has a minor third, which basically means you're going to take your major third, which is just constructed from 2 whole steps off of the tonic, and you're going to move it down a half step. So, for example, here is C major, it's C, E, G. If I want to make it C minor, I'm going to go C, E flat, G. There's C minor, there's C major. Typically, your majors are going to sound more airy, more happy, more light. Your minors are usually used for more brooding kind of tunes. And this structure can be followed for any type of key, or any type of key and any type of note. So let's say I want to start with E as my tonic, and I want to construct E major. I'll go 2 whole steps to my 3rd. I'll go a half step and a whole step to my 5th, and I'll play it all together. Well done, you have constructed the E major chord. What if I want an E minor though? Well, you can just basically flatten that 3 by putting it down a half step, and you've created the darker E minor. But how do I know what's major and what's minor in a scale? Because I take the C major scale and I play my 3rd with E minor or E major instead of E minor. Something doesn't sound quite right when I play this as opposed to this, but why is that? Well, an easy way to know how to construct chords, whether or not to be major or minor within a certain scale, is to actually look at the keys within that scale. So, again, we're going to use C major for this example. We're going to go C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. You'll notice that there's no black keys at all within this scale, but our E major chord has an A flat in it, which means that it doesn't fit within the C major scale, but what does fit is E minor, because it's all white, and it has the G. So this is just a little loophole if ever you're not sure whether to use major or minor chord. Basically, look at what's in your scale. For example, let's take the E major scale again. We know that our tonic is going to be E major because we have the major third. And if we look at our 2nd, which is G flat, what keys do we have in our scale? We have E, G flat, A, B, C sharp, E flat, E, right? That's our E major scale. And if I were to construct my 2nd, which is the G flat major chord, we'll say I construct the G flat major chord. We don't know if it's our right 2nd yet. So we have our G flat. We're gonna go 2 whole steps to the B flat. We're gonna go half step, whole step to our 5th, which is D flat. And there you go, you've now managed to construct G flat major. But notice how this B flat isn't present within our E major scale. It's actually B. B is present and A is present, but not the B flat, which means that we have to move this down a half step. So we move it down a half step, keep our fifth and our first the same, and we get G flat minor. And basically that's it. Armed with this knowledge, you can just mess around. Play with your scale. Here, listen to what sounds nice, what plays together. A great rule of thumb is start on your tonic and start with your number 1 chord, which is the major first of your chord. So for example, E major, and then just let loose, play around, see what sounds nice. You can kind of just mess around, see what... See, that doesn't sound great, but that sounds alright. And that's basically it. Just have fun with it. Just sit down, pick a scale and just lay it loose, have a go. See, you can just basically mess around. And well done. You've actually learned quite a lot. You've learned how to construct a major scale based on any key. You've learned how to construct major and minor triads. You've learned which major and minor triads work in certain keys. And armed with this knowledge, you can create some fairly basic melodies and stuff. Again, there's different modes, there's different structures, there's a whole lot of things. There's chord constructions that you can mess around with, like sevenths, add fours, suspended fours, suspended seconds, add twos. There's a whole lot more within music that you can learn, but this is just a basic building block. So, have fun.